critical. I'm going to show you how to do a 1 liter refill. Come on over to my table. I'm going to show you the tools that you're going to need to start with. To take your case off your pump, you're going to need a 5 30-seconds hex wrench. This T is pretty good for getting this stuff off rather quickly. You're going to get a 9/16 wrench, a 3/4 wrench. You're going to need a torque wrench with a super short socket, 7/16, right? And a torque wrench that's capable to do 175 inch-pounds. A CO2 meter. This is going to tell me the levels of CO2 that are around me and help me zone in on the leak. Most important, you need your tool to put in your seals and your seals itself. So this tool is actually going to help me put this in there. You'll need one for your top and for your bottom for your seals. A Pyrex dish, 600 milliliters usually works fairly well. You can put almost everything in there, your pump heads, and soak it if you need to if it's really dirty. Basically your solvent of your choice. You can have acetone, you can have alcohol, ethanol. Paper towels, might need a little bit of compressed air. And then last and most importantly, your 1 liter manual. Appendix C, it's going to have step-by-step instructions that you can follow along as well. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to grab our 9/16. Come on over here. Safety, 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 right? You want to make sure that your pump is not plugged in before you get up in here. I've already taken off the case. All it is that 5 30-seconds hex wrench all the way around to the front and then also the back. All right. So what we're taking off are the piston heads. This is the one that's on the top right here and also on the bottom. To take this one off, you really don't have to do anything too crazy. You're just taking off on your out and your inside right here. So 9/16. Took these the in and the out lines off the piping. I'm gonna take my 3/4 wrench right here, and this is before I take these bolts off. Crack these a little bit. Come over on the other side. And that's all there is to it. Just want to loosen it up a little bit and then go across. Just like taking off a car tire. Take these bad boys off. And then, alright, then you can just pull this whole assembly right out and then take it with you. Alright, and I can take this aluminum bracket as well. There's some brass rings inside there. Make sure you grab those all as well. Take it on over to our table here. We'll go ahead and set this aside for now along with the bolts. Alright, so this is the reason why you have to have that super short socket for the 7/16. As you can see, you don't have a lot of clearance out here, and this one barely fits in there as it is. So this is what you're going to have to do when you torque this thing back on. Alright, so what I'm going to do is make sure I'm going the right way. I'm going to loosen up these brackets, cross pattern. So in order to get these check valves off right here, this one's not an issue, but this one right here is connected to a couple things. All right, you're gonna need to take off right where solenoid valve 1 is, and then right under here, if you can't see it, it's right here. So these two you'll have to take off to get this one off, just because it won't move. It's a 9/16. All right, so this puppy's off right here. You can just push this out, just like that. This one's off right here. So now I can undo this one. However you can get it in, it'd probably be best to do it like this. Boom, just like that. And then this side's really easy. You really didn't have to do any kind of prep to this. Just take this off as well. And then now you notice I kept this bolted on. So I can take these off again. It's a 3/4. Be careful, it's really skinny right here. Make sure you get good support and then just crack it a little bit. Same thing with the other side. Boom. All right. So it looks like the check valve's off. Now we just need to take these bolts off. You're gonna wanna support it so it doesn't just fall off when you take these bolts out. Holding on to this head, take the last bolt out. It's all gonna come. Make sure you give it a way to go. Boom. And the last thing I'm gonna take is this one right here. All right, I'll take this back to my table, and it's the exact. So I grabbed all my pieces back at my table. Here's the old seal that's in here. I can just take this out with my finger. All right. Gonna want to also. We'll take our check valves off. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is be careful when you take these off. You got a ball and a spring on both sides. I'll show you how to put those back together. So make sure that you have them all. Sometimes they get stuck in there. As you can see, the spring got stuck in there. How you can get this out is you can do like this, or we'll take this over to the air compressor. You also have the ball that's stuck in that side. And we will take some acetone and get this stuff out. I'm going to go ahead and spray this with a little bit of acetone or alcohol. I'm going to take my gun right here. You don't want this thing going everywhere. You want to kind of cover it up. But that did. And that is how you do it. Make sure you save these things. So I got that ball out. Now I'm going to get the spring. Just fill this thing up with acetone. Maybe hold this other side down the bottom. And then, oh, there you go. Put it in your bucket. So in cleaning this, you just want to make sure you get this entire cavity. You can squirt your acetone in there. Use your paper towels. You can also blow it out now that you have all your little pieces out. It's very important to get every little piece of oil that's in here out. Because if you don't, it's going to rub up against your seals and prematurely wear your seals. And you won't get that 40 hours. You can see this is how much I got off there. And this was a fairly clean pump. Same thing. Go ahead and get some acetone down in there. Clean as best you can. Same thing with the other side. If you have a really dirty pump, let's say you forgot to turn on your chiller, and your entire pump is filled with oils, these will be filled with oil as well, a lot. You may have to put this in a beaker and just soak it for a while. Let acetone really works the best. You can let it eat at it for a while. Once you get this thing nice and clean, go ahead and make sure you air it out. Boom. This piece is done. So these don't really have too much to work with. We didn't want to put them in our beaker just because we didn't want to put acetone on these seals. That'll eat them up. And it is kind of hard to get them off, especially with a pick. You might damage them. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fill up one side, fill up the other, and then blow it out there. Make sure you wear your safety goggles. Acetone in your eyes is not a good thing. Same thing for this one, just inside and out. All right, so what we're gonna do now, I just basically spread everything apart the way it should go back in. If you'll notice that these two, this is your inside, this is your outside. If you look at this, these are a little bit different as well, right? So this is where your ball is gonna go in, right in here. And then your spring is going to fit right inside here. Boom, just pops right in. You can even, now what we're gonna do, let's see if that's gonna work. So yeah, you can see how you can get that kind of floating in there like that. And then now you can put this right on top and screw it down. Inside done. All right, so now you have the ball casing, what it looks like. It'll fit right up on here. Almost really what you could do, probably a better technique, is to take this like this, and then I'm gonna go all the way. You get a good shot of that. Hold this up like this. I'm just going to basically follow this ball in there. You don't want to strip this thing. I backed it out and then screw it right in. Boom. And that's how you put this together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to put this on with the bolts so I can tighten these down just how I took them off and cut. Alright, so I have my new seal right here. I have my tool, alright? So you can see this says top, that goes in the top, fits right in there like so. Alright, I'm going to basically get this thing as level as possible. Okay. Boom. Get this as level as possible. Bring this right on here. And I want to apply even force all the way down. And then I can go ahead and take this off. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right back on here and then push it down just a little bit more. And that's how you put your seal in. Pieces right here, this is how it comes off. You want to make sure you get inside this brass piece right here. Usually you get a lot of oil in there, and all we gotta do is spray it down.
Weird how dirty that pump really is.
So you got a little bit of oil right there. And I'm gonna look at it, make sure that I don't have anything on there. You might get some crusty oil on there that you might have to give some more attention to getting off. Again, you can put this in a beaker, you can soak it if it's that much of a pain. How this goes back on, this is just goes right back on here. And then you have your little brass piece. And then we'll move back over to the machine to put this back on. All right, so I got this stuff all cleaned up. I got my bolts ready to put on. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my shaft. I'm going to, again, I'm gonna make sure it's at max penetration. And then I'm going to clean this bad boy up with some alcohol. So I'm gonna go ahead and that's right. Get all up in here. Pay special attention to this head right here. This is where it's going to hit your seal. Nice and clean. Just I'm ready to put this thing back on. Before I do, what I want to make sure of, I can spin this wheel right here, and I want it to be at max penetration. Alright, because I'm going to get some acetone on here. I'm going to clean out all the oil. What you don't want is old oil rubbing up and down your seals. That's going to cause your seals to wear. You also want to pay special attention to the head. Get this, ladies. You can't ignore the head. Alright, so that's pretty clean.
You don't want to go too deep, right?
No. Line this baby up, and then I'll actually move this out a little bit. What I don't want to do is I don't want to have it down so far that it barely goes on the seal. I want to make sure that it has enough runway to go down where I know I'm not messing the seal up. Alright, so very important, what you want to do is you have an in and an outside, so an out and an in. It even says so. Your inside is going to be facing me. The side towards the solenoids is the inside. I might have to move these out of the way a little bit. Just want to get it started. All right, so this is your torque wrench right here on this prototype one that we recommend using. All you have to do to set your torque is press this thing down right here, and then you can manipulate this. If you guys can actually see there, that says 180, and that says 200, and then one down here says 160. Here's 170 right here. So right in between, there's a line right here. There's 170, there's 180, right in the middle, lock it down, and you are good. All right, so just like you're putting on a car tire, I'm gonna go ahead and just do this a little bit. I felt a little bit of tightening, so I'm gonna move over, cross it. It started to pose me. I'm going to go to the next one. Starts to pose me, move to the next one. All right, so now I'm ready to start torquing this thing down. 1/4 of a turn. This is a pain, but you need to go through it. You don't want to torque this down unevenly. It will leak through the heads, and I can feel it when it clicks over. That means it reached its torque spec. So that's the click. When it starts clicking at me, that's 175. Don't go further than that. You can go further than that. You don't want to. So they're all torqued to spec. Congratulations. All right, we still have to tighten these things down. Was that 3/4? Be really careful, guys. You don't want to start busting knuckles and things like that. This is really slim. These things don't have to be, they need to be on there. And once it gets on there, it's not really going to move too much further. Tighten it down, just maneuver the wrench around where it needs to be. Pretty easy this side. I'm just going to go ahead and match this up just like that. And to get these things on, if you don't remember, it was a 9/16. Just go hand tight and then 1/8 of an inch. Boom. That side is done, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that shaft is nice and clean. I'm gonna go ahead and spec my hole up the top. That's clean as well. First thing that's gonna go on is this piece. I'm gonna go ahead and match it up where the bolts need to go. I'm gonna take my, remember you want your inside, wherever the hell that is. Okay, you want your inside to go towards the solenoids. Be careful when you're replacing this. You don't damage your seal when you put it on. Alright. Thread it in. It's not any danger to come out. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I get all 4 of them in. You might have to wiggle it around just to get that baby threaded in a little bit. So this is pretty much rinse and repeat. This is going to be the same thing as the top side when you torque this down. The only difference is that you're just going to have a smaller clearance on those bottom 2 bolts. You just have to be careful. Alright. So hand tight first. Get all your bolts down. Hand tight. We'll start doing 1/4 turns. God damn, son. Try to get them down as evenly as possible. And what we're waiting for is that click. So I got the click right there. Don't keep going after the click. Got the click. Got the click. We are torqued down. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your 3/4. Remember these check valves right here you want to tighten down. Alright. I felt it lock. Just get it seated on there. These two pieces will fit on. You can't really see this one. Get it hand tight. Same thing with this side. You can see it a lot better. That's how it seats. Hand tight, and then this is a compression fitting, so all you're gonna do is take your 9/16 and then go 1/8 more to tighten it. Alright, don't forget these last two things right here. You're gonna have this little piece. I can bend it with my thumb down at the bend, and I'm going to smooth that puppy right in there. She fits every time. Sometimes you really want to just make sure that you don't strip these things on there. Sometimes when they get tight, that doesn't mean they're on there correctly. You just have to test it a little bit. If you get any kind of resistance from your wrench, you gotta stop, go back. So that baby's in here. This is the last one. Be careful not to mess around with these solenoids too much. They do have some wires hanging off. Just be real careful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this top off. I'm going to make sure I get all my tools and everything away from this spinning belt and fan. The reason why I'm going to leave this off, plug it back in and run it, is because I want to make sure that I don't have any more leaks in here before I take the time to put the case on. Big safety factor, again, can't state it enough. Don't get something stuck in here that you want to keep. Thank you. All right, I just went ahead and checked my system. My chiller's on. I'm gonna go ahead and do my startup, and I'm gonna start watching in here for leaks. I got my CO2 meter. Right now, I'm currently sitting about 420, and if it gets any higher than that, as I put it around here, I'm gonna know that I have some kind of leak. Also, really, you can really kind of hear and know this pump's gonna turn on, it's gonna be loud, but you can, if it's a real big leak, you'll hear a hiss. You can also look for dry ice forming around the connection. That's gonna indicate that you also have a leak. The places that you want to look are the places that you touch. So we know that we touch right up here around this head, these bolts over here, and then these two connections, one here and one here. So that's really what I'm keying on right now. All right, so let's start this thing up. Go ahead and check my computer, make sure they're ready to go. Have everything set up as it needs to be. Hold this down for 3 seconds. It clicks. One thing you want to do is make sure that you turn your CO2 on. All right, assuming that everything's going normally by our machine. I'm staying away from the fan, the belt, and I'm just basically monitoring the CO2 meter. I don't hear any hisses. I can go ahead and be careful and touch around those check valves. And then those two connections right there. I don't feel anything at all, but this is just helping me verify that. All right, looks like everything is running according to plan. One thing when you're checking for your leaks, you'll be able to tell if it's working correctly if your inlines are cold and your outlines are hot. All right, so out would be here, in here, and then in on this side, nice and cold, and then a little bit hot on this side. Do this rather quickly. The longer you wait, the hotter it'll get. And try not to burn yourself. It's exactly not what I'm telling you. All right, so going back to my machine, being aware that I just have brand new seals on, I might have to dial back my regulator just a bit. So right now it's establishing its pressure. I'm almost sitting just below 400, that's fine. Around 5 to 8 minutes, this should be 420. All right, I'm suspecting though, with my new seals, they're gonna work even better than my worn out seals. So I'm gonna get probably more than 420. So I'll have to basically come over here and use very small increments counterclockwise and then relieve the pressure over here. Get the pressure down below 400 and then you'll see it rise slowly to 420. That's the procedure.